In some parts of the world, when night falls, people lock their doors to keep danger out. In ancient China, they locked their doors to keep the dead from walking in. Imagine standing alone in a narrow village street. The air is cold, the lanterns flicker, and then you hear it. Not footsteps, but something heavier, something stiff, something that does not walk, but hops. The villagers had a name for it, a name whispered, never spoken loudly. Jiangshi, the hopping corpse, a body that never found peace, a soul trapped between worlds, neither alive nor truly dead. Tonight, you will enter a legend that has haunted Chinese folklore for centuries. A story where respect for the dead meant survival, and forgetting them meant fear. Because some spirits rest, and some refuse to lie still. To understand the Jiangshi, you must first understand how ancient China viewed death. Death was not seen as an ending. It was a transition, a crossing between worlds. The body was sacred, the spirit was eternal, and harmony between them was everything. Families honored their ancestors with offerings, incense, and ritual respect. If the dead were treated well, they protected the living. If they were forgotten, they might return. The Jiangshi legend was born from fear. Fear of improper burial. Fear of violent death. Fear of souls that had no peace. People believed that when death came suddenly, or rituals were broken, the spirit could become trapped. And when the spirit could not leave, the body sometimes moved. Not with purpose, not with thought, but with hunger. This was not the vampire of Western stories. No charm, no seduction, only stiffness, only decay, only the echo of life. The Jiangshi legend may have begun with something very real. In ancient China, families believed the dead should be buried in their hometowns. But travel was slow, roads were dangerous, and transporting bodies was difficult. So Taoist priests developed a method called corpse guiding. They would attach talismans, ring bells, chant prayers, and move bodies at night in a line, one behind the other. To villagers watching from a distance, it looked like corpses hopping through the darkness. And when fear meets misunderstanding, legends are born. Over time, stories grew darker. The bodies were no longer guided. They moved on their own. The dead no longer obeyed the living. And soon, the Jiangshi was no longer just a superstition. It became a warning, a reminder that death must be respected, or it may refuse to stay silent. Every legend begins with something human. Before the Jiangshi was feared, it was once a person who breathed, who worked, who dreamed, who feared. To understand the hopping corpse, we must step back into a time when villages were small and lives were fragile. When illness had no cure, when accidents had no explanation, when death could arrive quietly or suddenly, without warning. Imagine a small mountain village in southern China. Mud paths, wooden homes, lantern light reflecting on damp stone. A man lives here. Not rich, not powerful, just known. He is a porter. He carries goods between villages: rice, herbs, letters, small parcels. His body is strong. His movements are steady. His life is simple. Every morning he bows to his ancestors' shrine. Every night he eats quietly, listening to the wind outside his door. He respects death, but he fears it too. Not the moment of dying, but what comes after. Because he has heard the stories. Everyone has. Bodies that move, spirits that linger, corpses that refuse to sleep. In ancient China, a good death meant peace, a long life, family nearby, proper rituals. A bad death meant danger, drowning, murder, accidents, disease far from home. These deaths were believed to trap the spirit, and when a spirit is trapped, the body becomes a vessel. The villagers believed the Jiangshi was not evil by choice. It was confused, hungry, searching for what it lost. One night, the porter does not return. A storm rises in the mountains. Rain floods the paths. The wind howls through trees. He takes shelter in an abandoned shrine. The roof leaks. The walls are cracked. The air smells of old incense and dust. He sits. He waits. He listens. He does not know this will be his final night. There is no witness, no scream, no struggle recorded. Only this. By morning, he is gone. Days pass, then weeks. His family searches, but the mountains keep their secrets. And somewhere, a body lies forgotten, unburied, unblessed, unprotected. This is how legends begin, not with monsters, but with silence. Death is rarely a single moment. For the porter, it was only the beginning. The body, unblessed and abandoned, lay in the wet earth. The spirit, restless, circled somewhere between worlds. And slowly, night by night, the impossible began. Legends tell us that the Jiangshi does not rise immediately. It moves in stages. Its body stiffens. Its blood dries. Its life force becomes trapped. At first, the villagers notice strange sounds. A dull thump near the abandoned shrine, rustling in the weeds, shadows that move against the wind. One night, a child claims to see a figure hopping across the village path, its limbs stiff, its movements jerky, its face pale, expressionless, almost blank. No one dares approach. Doors are bolted, lanterns burn through the night, and still it comes. Night by night, the body learns. It learns the rhythm of human life, the timing of footsteps, the silence between conversations. Villagers turn to local Taoist priests for guidance. They bring talismans, squares of paper inked with spells. They perform rituals meant to bind the spirit. They burn incense and chant protective verses. Sometimes these rituals succeed. Sometimes they fail. The Jiangshi is not merely evil. It is a body seeking completion, a soul lost between the earth and the heavens. And the more it is disturbed, the more it moves. Soon, incidents escalate. Chickens are found dead. Footprints stiff and unnatural appear in mud. Windows rattle without wind. One night, a villager sees the figure hopping toward the granary. Its arms reach forward, stiff, its mouth open, as if searching for something unseen. Fear grows into obsession. People do not sleep. Doors are chained. Lanterns are hung in every corner. And still, the hopping continues. The porter is no more, and the Jiangshi has fully awakened. Once the Jiangshi fully awakens, nothing is ordinary again. Life in the village becomes a careful balance between survival and observation. Every shadow can hide it. Every thump in the night can signal its approach. The villagers begin to tell stories in hushed voices about chickens found stiff, eyes wide, necks arched unnaturally. About livestock discovered drained of vitality. About soft thumps near windows, even when doors were locked. The first human victim is a shepherd. He wanders the hills late one evening, lantern in hand. He hears the soft rhythm behind him. Thump, thump, thump. He turns. Nothing. Only shadows moving unnaturally across the rocks. Then, a stiff figure hops into view. Its arms reach forward, its eyes vacant, its mouth silent, but hungry. The shepherd runs, but the Jiangshi moves unnaturally fast in short, hopping bursts. Only when a Taoist charm flutters from the priest's hand does it retreat, disappearing into the mist. Night after night, the Jiangshi prowls the village, hops along rooftops, slides down narrow alleys, its stiff body casting grotesque shadows under lantern light. People stop walking alone at night. Children are kept indoors. Families chant protective prayers before sleep. And still, the sightings continue. Some say it follows the moonlight. Some claim it reacts to fear itself, drawn to the trembling of the living. Every thump in the night becomes a question. Is it hunting again? Strange incidents increase. Doors are found open that were locked. Food disappears. Livestock dies suddenly, drained. Villagers leave offerings outside homes: rice, paper money, incense. Some try to lure the Jiangshi away from the village. Others barricade themselves, praying the corpse moves past without noticing. And there are whispers that some who are touched by it are changed, that its hunger can spread, that death can hop from one to the next. Fear becomes ritual, life becomes calculation, and the Jiangshi waits. In the face of fear, the villagers acted. They could not fight the Jiangshi with swords or spears. They needed knowledge, ritual, and courage. Taoist priests became their guides, men and women versed in the sacred texts of life and death. They carried bundles of talismans, swords imbued with ritual energy, and scrolls covered in ink symbols. The Jiangshi was clever, but it was not invincible. Its power depended on the living's fear and the weakness of the soul. The priests would place talismans, bright yellow squares of paper inscribed with protective spells, directly on the Jiangshi's forehead. The paper glows faintly in lantern light. It stiffens the corpse even further, forces it to stop. Sometimes mirrors were used. Reflections confused the spirit. Taoist swords, waved with precise movements, could seal a body back to rest. Each ritual was meticulous. Each chant repeated, night after night. And still, it was dangerous. A single misstep could awaken the creature, enraging it. Villagers adapted their lives to the presence of the Jiangshi. Families kept children indoors. Rice offerings were left at doors. Lanterns burned through the night. Villagers avoided travel after dark. Some even dug pits around their homes, lined with spikes or salt, to stop a hopping corpse. Others buried their dead immediately, following ritual to prevent souls from rising. These actions were not just superstition, they were survival. Every talisman, every offering, every chant was a shield against death itself. But confronting a Jiangshi had a cost. Priests who failed sometimes became victims. Villagers who ignored the warnings disappeared. Some tales tell of bodies found stiff, faces frozen in terror outside their homes. And yet, it worked. Slowly, through knowledge, fear, and ritual, the village learned to coexist with the presence of the hopping dead. The Jiangshi was never fully gone, but it could be managed, contained, and respected. This delicate balance is the core of the legend. The lesson the ancestors left behind: respect life, respect death, and never forget the thin line between the two. Legends rarely stay in one village. Stories travel as people travel, and the Jiangshi, the hopping corpse of southern China, spread far beyond its mountain origins. Traders, travelers, and officials carried tales along river routes and mountain paths. Tales of stiff bodies that moved at night. Tales of spirits that hungered for life energy. Soon, the Jiangshi appeared in towns across Jiangshi, Hunan, and Guangdong provinces. Each region added its own variation. Some described glowing red eyes, others long fingernails that scratched the walls. Some were said to float above the ground, but all shared one terrifying feature: the stiff, hopping motion. In rural China, the Jiangshi became part of local culture. Ritual dramas reenacted exorcisms. Tales were told at night to warn children to respect the dead. Artists painted scrolls depicting Taoist priests confronting the hopping corpse. Even during festivals, people would wear protective charms and talismans, not just for superstition, but as a reminder of balance between life and death. The legend became a living memory, passed from generation to generation. In the 20th century, the Jiangshi legend entered cinema and literature. Hong Kong films brought hopping corpses to screens worldwide. The stiff movements, Taoist talismans, and eerie chanting fascinated audiences. The Jiangshi became more than folklore. It became a symbol of fear, tradition, and the supernatural. Even today, modern sightings and stories circulate online. They are often anecdotal, yet they carry the same lessons. Respect death. Honor the rituals. Fear the body that refuses to rest. Variations of the Jiangshi appear in nearby cultures. In Korea, there is the Guishin, spirits of the dead lingering due to wrongs or unfulfilled duties. In Japan, the Shikigami and restless spirits echo the idea of bodies or souls trapped between worlds. Folklore teaches that across Asia, fear of the restless dead is universal. The stiff corpse, the hopping movement, is just one vivid reminder of how human imagination bridges the living and the dead. The Jiangshi survives not only in stories, but in the lessons it carries. Life is fragile, death is sacred, and forgetting the dead may awaken what should remain at rest. You have heard the story. You have seen the path from life to death, to the hopping corpse that cannot rest. The Jiangshi is not merely a myth. It is a warning, a reminder of balance. Respect life, respect death, honor the rituals, because the line between the living and the dead is thin, and sometimes it is fragile. Imagine walking down a quiet street at night. The lanterns flicker, the air is heavy, and somewhere, behind you, a thump, thump, thump. You do not turn. You do not run, but you feel it. The stiff, cold presence moving closer, searching, hungry. This is the fear the villagers felt centuries ago, and it lingers, even now, in stories, in imagination, in the echo of footsteps in the dark. The Jiangshi legend survives because it is more than a tale of terror. It teaches caution, respect, and mindfulness. That improper death, neglect, or disrespect can ripple far beyond life. That the dead may sleep peacefully, or they may hop. And when they do, the living must remember. The line between the worlds is not to be crossed carelessly. So tonight, when you close your door, when the wind moves a branch across your window, remember the Jiangshi. Remember the body that refused to lie still, the hopping corpse that walks when it should not. And ask yourself, are you respecting the dead or inviting them to join you? This is the legacy of the Jiangshi, the corpse that refused to rest. Thank you for joining me tonight as we explored the legend of Jiangshi, the hopping corpse. If you enjoyed this journey into folklore and the shadows of the night, make sure to subscribe to Folklore After Midnight. Hit the like button if you want more stories from across Asia, tales that have whispered through generations and still linger in the dark. Share this video with friends who love myths, legends, and the mysteries of the night. Comment below, which legend should we uncover next? Your suggestions might guide the next story we tell, under the cover of night. Remember, this channel is dedicated to preserving and sharing folklore from across Asia. We are storytellers, not historians, so enjoy the mysteries responsibly.